Well, that was pretty one-sided. Scotland 48, Georgia 7. It was not quite looking that bad for the Georgians at halftime. I think it was only 17-0. Only 17-0. But yeah, over the course of the 80 minutes, Scotland is just way too good. I'll go over some of the key points of the game, some of the stats, and yeah, you guys can let me know your thoughts as well. Started off pretty ominous for the Georgians, I guess, because the Scots went about 10 phases, and every time they won a penalty, there's no way they were taking any shots at goal. They didn't need goal kicking practice. This is a warm-up game, so getting cohesion out of the guys was definitely on the cards. Maybe if it had been a close game, they would have taken a kick at sticks because it's still a test, but didn't look likely. They tapped it from the first penalty, and then from the second tap they had, Darcy Graham was over some pretty poor defence, I think from the Georgian fullback, and yeah, it was 7-0 pretty early to the Scots after about 2 minutes. My son was next to me watching the game. He said, "I want the blue team to win." And yeah, it was looking pretty likely that the blue team was going to win. He did ask me if they were going to score like 70 points, and it didn't end up eventuating, but still pretty convincing. 8 minutes, Georgia got a penalty at the breakdown, and their kick for touch missed. And that also kind of doubled down on my feeling that it's just not going to be Georgia's day. You can't afford to be doing that kind of thing, especially when you're away from home. It's an individual unforced error, so yeah, a bit poor. Interestingly, the Georgians won a free kick from a scrum, and they had no hesitation in calling for another scrum. So in that case, the stereotype was kind of true. But to be honest, the scrums were a bit messy early, to be fair, a bit slow, taking a lot of resets. Apparently, it had been raining about an hour before kickoff. And like a lot of high balls were getting dropped. A bit of rust from both teams, I guess. Penalties at the breakdown, like I mentioned. So it wasn't exactly fluid, at least, for those next kind of 20-odd minutes. A lot of mauls as well. Both teams trying to keep the ball pretty secure. 26 minutes, though, there's a maul that pays off. It's Fraser Brown. And it came from Georgia conceding a penalty at the previous maul, which had been kind of in a less dangerous position for the Georgians to be defending. Yeah, but they gave an offside penalty away at that maul. Scotland kicked for a touch, set another maul, and the backs had a thing in this game. It seems to be a set play. Like Lang and Harris love jumping into those mauls, adding their pushing power. Definitely the difference maker. That one goes over. They missed the conversion, so it's 12-0. And the next try is Hamish Watson. That was not from a maul. I mean, there was a maul in the build-up, to be fair. But eventually they just got him out onto the left wing. He'd peeled off the maul ages before, and acres of space for him. Goes over for a try. So 17-0. They missed the conversion again. It's looking pretty peachy for Scotland. It's not been 100% cohesive. The Georgians haven't had any ball, really. I think they had 15% territory in that first half. They were just under the pump for pretty much that whole half. Ferguson, unfortunately, that's Matt, went off before half time. Cornell Dupree came on. And yeah, the Scots looked maybe to go through before halftime with a try. They put a kick through. Torua was able to collect for the Georgians. They went back for an advantage, and they did have a look at a potential try, but it was held up. So they go into the sheds at 17-0. 17-0, like it's good, man. Like you're not going to be looking down your nose at 17-0, but given how much ball the Scots had, maybe they could have had more, to be fair, honestly. But yeah, they looked very comfortable. Anyway, just kind of cruising. They did turn the screws a bit more in the second half. As I mentioned, though, both sides still struggled under the high ball. I think Hastings knocked one on. The Georgians knocked one on pretty much straight from the kickoff. And interestingly, the Georgians got the first try of the second half on 44 minutes. It was Tabu Tadja. Butchered that, but either way, Yeah, they did check that one as well for a forward pass. I think it was Toulis who got like a fingertip to it. If it had been forward, then the fact that there was a fingertip to it, like it was maybe flat. I don't know, but the fact that there was a fingertip ruled out any kind of doubt. I guess if the ball had just gone clean through forward, I know it's out of the hands, which is supposed to be the measure, but you can sometimes tell from the trajectory of the ball whether it's come out forward. The fact that there was a fingertip interrupting it maybe also lent a bit to the Georgians. It was nice for them to get a try because they hadn't had anything in the first half. 17-7, good conversion. And that's kind of game on, man. Like, that's what I mean. Like, 17-0 is good, but the opposition's only one score away from putting you under pressure, and they did. However, Scotland didn't really look too concerned. They were still pretty unflappable, to be fair. They went close on 49. They knocked it on near the goal line. The Georgian guy forced it. They went back for a penalty, though, and then, like, Scotland had some good mauls in this game, but the second Brown try on 50 minutes was just poetry in motion, man. That one was just phenomenal. It was just like clean line out take, and the maul just went through, hot knife through butter kind of stuff. It was phenomenal stuff. Conversion hits the post, 22-7. Graham goes close on 55 minutes. Finn Russell's come on at that point, and he's already, I think maybe it's his first pass. The pass before the one that hits Graham. Just those kind of smooth like hands, flat ball. He adds that bit of value, doesn't he? So, yeah, it was looking dangerous. And then 60 minutes, Scotland get another maul. And it was interesting. It's a maul try to McAnally. It was nowhere near as fluid as the previous one. It was quite an ugly one. But Ali Price got in there and Adam Hastings got in there because he's moved to 12 by this point. And, like, looking at the lineups in the preview, you're thinking, Georgians should have a good forward pack. But the Scottish backs will probably cut them to bits because, as I mentioned, a lot of the Georgian guys don't seem to play, at least for like a French or a English or whatever club. Whereas most of the Georgian guys play in France somewhere in the forward pack. But like the maul for Scotland was just giving them so much pay that why not keep going there? It was just an interesting area that they were able to get that much more kind of dominance and. Yeah, another try, man. You thought it was going to be all the backs, but it was the forwards. So McAnally got his try. It's 29 points to 7. They kicked that conversion. 69 minutes, 70. Duan van der Merwe. I was wondering if he's going to get one on debut. Like the commentators mentioned him being a bit quiet, and he did seem to be pretty well covered. But what I did notice about him is every time he got the ball, he seemed to at least get it over the advantage line. He was never really being pushed backwards. Like they clearly identified him as a threat, and they were closing him down, often putting 2 men on him. But every time he was getting over the advantage line, always going forward. And eventually he gets one when he does get into open space. It's a little Finn Russell inside ball. He doesn't need that power, which he's kind of so famed for having, and he runs a great angle. 36 points to 7. It's starting to look a bit ugly at that point for the Georgians. Better for the Scots. And then Georgia, to make matters worse, get a yellow card on 71 minutes for a deliberate knock-on after Toulis has got like a phenomenal line break. From there, Scotland set a 5-metre maul a few minutes later. And interesting, 5-metre maul, you've already got try to McAnally, you've got 2 to Brown, you're thinking, it's going to go again. McAnally's going to get a double, but from that one, they switch to the blind side. There's like a little tip pass, and it ends up in Darcy Graham's hands. So he goes over for his second. Nice little trick play, because even I was thinking, geez, they're just going to maul it again. But they saw the opportunity, and yeah, really well executed. Finally, Kinghorn gets one on 79, and this one's an absolute catastrophe. I should have written down his name. I think it was one of the Georgian substitutes. Kinghorn puts a little grubber kick through, and the Georgian, was it 22? Sorry, I should have looked up his name before I started the video. He just gets a cruel bounce. It makes him look silly. And then Kinghorn, to make matters worse for the Georgians, like just kind of, as he's sprinting, casually kicks the ball up to himself without breaking stride and catches it. Like, absolute bit of skill. The guy must have played a bit of football back in the day, because that's an absolute sweet skill set, that one. Total perfection, kick, regather, and then like beats one defender to get to the try line. Thing of beauty. and it's 48 points to 7. Yellow card, they concede 12 points, the Georgians, so not ideal. But yeah, overall, like, pretty good if you're the Scots. I don't know if you get like too blown away because the Georgians were maybe a bit disappointing. Like, they were just under the pump. Like, look at the stats, man. Like, possession is 70-30. Territory is 77-23. So the Scots were very really under heaps of pressure to, to kind of get out of jail. Those key moments where, you're on your own goal line and you've got to make that last tackle. You've got to get them off the deck. Didn't really have that. So, but still, it's good for them to get a run out. The knock-ons were 7 apiece. And when the Georgians have got 30% possession, to be making as many knock-ons as the team that had 70% possession is not going to fly, and that's going to lead to a result like that. Run meters 464 to 163. Again, that's partly just all the possession they had. Tackling percentage, Scotland a phenomenal 94%, 79 tackles they made. Yeah, pretty rigorous defence. The commentators mentioned that Scotland's record in the Six Nations defensively was pretty solid. That seems to still be there, but as I mentioned, not really put under that much pressure. Somehow Georgia still managed 86% tackling with 165 tackles made, but I guess with Tua Brown's tries, McAnally's try, there was not really an opportunity to make a tackle. It was just a maul that went straight over. Penalties conceded 16-5 along with the knock-ons. That's pretty costly for Georgia. Georgia did kick at 100%, 1 from 1, whereas Scotland missed 4 conversions, so the scoreline could have been even messier if they'd grabbed those 8 points as well. Duan van der Merwe on debut, 109 run meters, 5 defenders beaten. Even if he seemed kind of quiet at times, like I said, he just gets you going forward. If he gets isolated or gets moved backwards, this is when you're in danger, but he didn't really get himself into those positions. Watson got man of the match. He had 12 from 12 tackles to go along with his try, as I mentioned. Nariashvili, the prop, had 19 out of 19 tackles, so certainly put in a big shift for a big man. But yeah, that's Scotland's performance. Good warm-up for them. We will see how they go next week, but certainly a pretty encouraging start. You're not going to look at that and think they're suddenly, a world-beating team, but you still look at that and go, there's a lot to like about that. Scotland's got a fair bit of depth in the right position. So, yeah, pretty pleasing stuff. I watched this game well after the fact. I managed to avoid the score, though, fortunately. So, it was good. I watched it on ITV. Pretty good coverage, even with all the ads. A few ads for whiskey, interestingly. So, yeah, I guess they're trying to tell me something. But, yeah. You guys let me know your thoughts on this one. Key moments, key players, any of those tries. Did you think pass was forward? Did you think any of the groundings should have been given? And yeah, I'll talk to you guys again soon. See you later. All right, guys. So like I said, I watched this game on ITV. Scotland, Georgia, Ireland, Italy, and the Six Nations is going to be on there as well. France against Wales. If you're in the UK, you guys probably know what to do. If you're outside the UK, you can't watch it unless you've got a VPN like I've got here connected to a server in the UK. So it is a free service to use. You just need to sign up with an email address, like name, email address, and whatnot. You do have to enter a UK postcode, but I just picked one from Google. And yeah, categories, sport, and the rugby is first game's already here. So yeah, that was Scotland against Georgia. As I mentioned, Ireland and Italy is on. That's the Saturday game, 3:30 local time. So either watch live or watch on demand, like I just did, or likewise Wales and France as well. So yeah, this is the way I get it done. You guys are looking to watch some rugby, and you're not in the UK, you don't have another supplier, this is one way I reckon is a decent way to do it. You do have to watch a few ads before it loads, but that's pretty much the only catch. So yeah, check out the link in the description for the VPN. That's what I use. If you've already got a VPN, just connect to a UK server. You should be all good. But if you haven't got a VPN, link in the description. 30-day money-back guarantee in case it doesn't work for you, but it's always worked for me. And yeah, I'll talk to you guys again soon.